Andrew, Mary Claire, any comments on privacy?
I think that the recent reaction to the Facebook privacy changes has kind of spoken lots. You know, I'm sure that all of us here have like seen the trending topics about, you know, the declining privacy elements of Facebook and the timeline of it. I think the other thing is that from what I understand, basically every action that you make on Facebook is tracked. If you view a picture, if you view a profile or try to view a profile, whether it's secured or not, it's recorded. And that from a user perspective is quite a considerable motivation not to go and look at things. You know, I have to say that I've removed all of my photos from Facebook because I feel that I don't want them to be there anymore. Historically, I did. I've changed my mind. And, you know, there are people out there who will change their mind and will start to secure their private information, you know, maybe too late.
And so do you think there's any issue with brands and advertisers capitalizing on, you know, these APIs that are becoming available?
Users will suddenly become aware of it when it happens, and the backlash could unfortunately catch some brands out, because the brands will be the names that are actually the face of the onslaught into a user's privacy. Whether that is whether that's Facebook or any social network's responsibility, I'm not sure, but the brands will always cop the backlash.
Mary Claire?
I think that everything we've talked about up till now really points us to the fact that it's going to get an awful lot harder to be anonymous online. So, you know, whether you're buying something from a website or looking at someone's photos, you know, at some point in the future, or even to an extent, even now, websites know who you are. You've used Facebook Connect, you've come through a Twitter link, or there's an API, especially with the semantic web itself, also brings some privacy issues as well. In a way, it's good. It means that, you know, you're never going to get these spammers on your blog again, for example. But to another extent, you know, well, how far are you protected personally?
The user's driven by relevancy, and these kind of privacy changes are intended to make content more relevant for users. The consequences of trying to improve the relevance, and, you know, with semantic search and the semantic web being kind of the long-term objective, it is going to encroach on your privacy. Users either have to accept it or just not use the functionality that's now intrinsic to everyday life.
So would we say, would we agree on saying that as long as what's being provided is usable, useful, and is provided to users free of charge, then the user is expected to cough up some of their privacy in exchange for those tools and platforms that are being given to them essentially for no cost whatsoever? The Flickrs and the Facebooks and the Googles, these are, you know, highly sophisticated tools that no one's paying for.
To a degree, but you've got to remember that there are an awful lot of publishers out there. People publish content, and whether they publish it on a social network or whether they publish it on a forum, you know, a forum or a news group is essentially the oldest kind of social network that exists from kind of an internet perspective. You know, there's content going back to, I don't know, 1990, maybe even before, from news groups that every single post had an individual's email address on. You know, it's always been an issue, and people have always just kind of accepted it as being part and parcel of participating in kind of any kind of network where you share your opinion.
It's just a part of participating in the internet.
Yeah, in the same way that you meet somebody and you normally end up kind of saying, oh, well, whereabouts do you live? or getting a phone number. You always are opening yourself up as soon as you engage in a relationship with somebody.
Excellent. Guys, we are starting to run on time, so I thought maybe we'll open it up to a couple of floor questions.
Howdy. Andrew just touched on something that I wanted to ask about, and that's the kind of relation of old media in this. How will social media metrics kind of be used by old media when they make this transition from, say, print, where I work, to online, basically?
Old media's had 140 years head start, or maybe more, 200 years head start, and they still haven't really got much apart from sample data and panel data. The internet's so far ahead in terms of actually delivering real-time metrics that the old media is going to have to suddenly start to invest heavily in reporting and tools that at the moment don't exist, and it's guaranteed, because media spend is going to be much more accountable in the future.
I think something that we're still seeing today with a lot of the social media and online metrics that we have are still forms of old media metrics that are being applied to online. So we're still starting to see things like, how many ads did this, how many views did this ad get in the SMH? Well, we still count that for online. I think that the big change will actually come when we start disregarding some of those old media habits that we've got when we're trying to measure things and start applying new metrics and start working out new ways to measure things.
Matthew Gain here. Firstly, Marie-Claire, Andrew, Mitch, thank you very much for being so eloquent on a quite a difficult topic. My understanding of tonight's topic, and I guess looking at this more broadly myself, is one of the challenges is there isn't a silver bullet, and we're nowhere near close to a silver bullet. I guess understanding that here in Australia in the social media space, often from an execution point of view, we don't have enough budget, let alone enough budget for measurement. What should we be doing in a realistic sense today? How should we be measuring? What are the tools we should be using? Keeping aside that obviously there's vendors up on the panel. But what should we be doing now to educate ourselves about the space? How can we be reporting back to clients or bosses or whatever today with a realistic budget?
I think to some degree, the going back to what we first said about there being kind of a pushback to the client to actually get objectives, because the tools...
And you mean business objectives?
Business objectives. Because for each project that you work on, there will be different tools that you'll utilise to measure the success. Now,
do you want to name some of them?
Well, for example, from a search perspective, I would always look at kind of the leading kind of web reporting tools. Google Analytics, it's free. It's really comprehensive. You can't really go wrong with a free tool as complex, but not being complicated to implement. It's embedding a code. From like a corporate perspective, you've got the opportunity with Omniture, Core Metrics, Web Trends. Each offers slightly different enhancements over and above the free tools, and you've got to decide which tool actually will give you the answers to the questions that the business is looking to answer.
So a combination of tools, really.
Well, in terms of reporting, you should always select the one tool that will answer the questions that you are trying to ask, and that is unique for each individual project.
Marie-Claire?
Yes, I agree with all of that, and I'll also say that the first thing to do is to think about what it is that you want to show at the end of it. So, your toolkit, like we were just saying, the toolkit can be so different for each person. I mean, in my own one, I've got some data mining tools like Orange, and I've got R for statistical analysis, and I've got things like, more SEO tools, and then there's also things I've made myself. So, you know, it really is up to you and how you work and what kind of work that you're taking on as well as a business. So I'd say each different project will have its needs, so choose things that are wide-reaching and that you can work with as well.